Hello, welcome to Mr. Rennie Games. I am going to turn down the volume. I am Patrick Rennie, and this game is Spelunky. I have a bit of history of Spelunky. It was originally developed by the independent gaming community, which means I had a chance to play this before it came out on the market. I'm not sure if it was late alpha or an early beta, but most of the stuff in the game was already in place. It didn't have this level of polish to it. I'm not sure the final bosses were in. But the basic shape of the levels and the basic mechanics were already in here. The point of the game is to get as deep into these dungeons as you can, while you steal stuff as you go. The levels are procedurally generated, which means they're absolutely different every time you play them. Luckily, the controls are pretty tight, so mechanically it feels good when you play it. But because it's procedurally generated, you don't get to find out, you don't get to approach a level by, oh, this part killed me, I need to do this next time. No, you just die. Which I'm working towards right now. Bombs! As you can see, you can break stuff, pick stuff up. The long jump when you run is actually pretty good. It's nice and satisfying. If you fall too far, you will get hurt, so be careful. Some of those skeletons are actually skeletons and not just bones. Bats are kind of annoying. You have a whip. You also have bombs and ropes, but those are in limited supply, so I'm not going to use them just to show them to you. Start out with 4 health. You can say I already lost 1. Oh look, there's a puppy over there. I told you I have bombs, right? Limited supply, but since I don't play particularly smartly at this point, we're going to use it to get the puppy. And then go on to the next level. The people you rescue, in this case the puppy, give you health if you rescue them. When I originally played this version, the only thing they had available was the woman in the red dress. Oh dear. We're just gonna play this level through and restart the next game. They also, in addition to the woman in the red dress, they added the puppy. You can also kill stuff by jumping on them. They added a guy in a red Chippensales outfit. For those of you who prefer your humans male. The reason I chose the puppy is that occasionally there is the option to sacrifice the people you rescue, or people in general, on an altar. And I feel bad enough about doing that to a puppy, much less, you know, a half-naked dude or a woman in a red dress. Spikes are deadly from the top. They're utterly neutral from the side. One of the nice things about this game is that things that are deadly to you are also deadly to the monsters in the levels. I die a lot, even for this game. Well, since this is the first first episode of Mr. Rennie Games. I should probably introduce myself. As I said, I am Patrick Rennie. I am 37 years old. I live in Erie, Pennsylvania. I'm married, no kids. Gold. I live and I'm the primary caretaker of my 89-year-old grandmother. One of my co-workers said that must be giving me a lot of win. Hasn't really worked out that way, which is kind of disappointing. Let's see if I can get that crate over there. Bombs. Good. Almost worth the rope. I am a writer with a day job. Science fiction, fantasy, superheroes. I will write novels. I'm currently working on right now, about 2,000 words into it, which means I'm basically just started it. I was given advice to a young writer named Melody on Tumblr and felt kind of silly about giving her advice when, I wasn't actually writing anything. So I decided I better get on it. Honestly, I prefer to write... I prefer to write comic scripts, comic strips, more than novels. But I don't have an artist that wants to work with me right now, so work with what you got. I still enjoy doing comics. Instead of having them drawn, though, I usually do photo comics, specifically using Lego. My 24-hour comic book from last year. The first time I finished 24-hour comic book day, which is when you a day in October where you do 24 pages of comics in 24 hours, which is a long frickin' day. Out of the crew that got together in Erie, I was the only one who actually finished all 24 pages. If you want to read this year's effort or last year's effort for 24-hour comic book day, my website, patrickrennie.com. I at patrickrennie.com. There's a sports blogger in Britain who, hates me. You can also read some of my older works. I have a novel posted up there. I really wanted that key. That's the only reason I accepted that trade-off. My Lego comic, my single-panel gag strip, is currently on a hiatus while I sort out what I got. Plus, I'm writing the novel, and I'm doing this! So I'm not too stressed about not getting too much work done on it right now. Puppy! Hello, puppy. Come here. Stay here, puppy. I got more bombs than I got ropes, so let's do this thing. Since we're talking about comic books, and they are my favorite hobby, we should probably talk about my history with comics. I started, like most people in my generation, probably not the current generation, with newspaper comics. I grew up, actually I grew up in Yorktown, Indiana, which is basically a suburb of Muncie, Indiana. For those of you who don't know, Muncie, Indiana is where Jim Davis works out of. Jim Davis is, of course, the creator of Garfield, which was a huge freaking deal when I was growing up. Garfield was just starting to blow up around that time. I'm gonna die. It's gonna be a sad, lonely death. Oh, this must be the snake pit. Sorry, puppy. That shooter guy's a jerk. I and my sisters, I have 2 older sisters, had a box full of comics. I'm not entirely sure where we got them from. I suspect they may have been Dad's old ones. They may have been stuff bought for us kids along the way. There was Richie Rich, there was Archie, there was Superman, there's Batman. I remember a couple issues of X-Men. I remember at least 1 issue of Teen Titans. I remember that it was my first introduction to multiverse, because, ouch, in the back of one of the comics was a lineup of Earth 1 and Earth 2 heroes, and I couldn't figure out why Dick Grayson was an adult version of Robin in one of the pictures and was Nightwing in the other one. I eventually figured out they were actually different worlds. Sorry, puppy. Ouch. The first comics I remember buying more for myself were some 3-packs from Target. I bought some A-Team, which was amusing. They were well done, but they were... well, the A-Team was kind of interesting to begin with, and these were even more so. What happened to the... Oh, okay. It's up there. The other ones I bought were issues of G.I. Joe, which means I had the famous silent issue where Snake Eyes breaks into that Cobra base, which was a really, really cool issue, especially if you're, I don't know, 7, 8 years old. Despite my initial contacts with comics, I never really seriously considered making them while I was a kid. Instead, I wanted to be a fantasy writer. I wasn't much of a reader when I was little. I could read. I just didn't enjoy it. I didn't enjoy it doing it recreationally, and God damn it. And then my greed. So sad. And that was the last of my comics buying for a while, because I was concentrating on fantasy books. I first read The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, which my sisters had. Not because I was interested in The Lion, the Witch, and Wardrobe. I was interested in the silver chair and why that guy was hitting the chair with a sword. So I finished those books off, and then I read The Hobbit because somebody in my family recommended it to me, and because Lord of the Rings happened in the same universe, I read that, despite being 7 or 8 years old at the time. And after that, I read a book called The Sword of Shannara, which in paperback was 726 pages long. What attracted me to it was the cover was done by the brothers Hildebrandt, I believe that's the right name, who did a bunch of artwork, Tolkien-related artwork, so I knew who they were. And I said, well, if I like that, I'll probably like this. And I did, and I was hooked on fantasy and science fiction for ever. I still love them. So I thought, well, maybe I'll write fantasy and science fiction when I grow up. That sounds like fun. Maybe I'll bang myself in the head with a rock. Okay, I think I better go back and get the puppy. I got into my second era of comics due to a friend who had introduced me to X-Men. My reading period for X-Men is a little skewed because of when I picked it up. The issues I borrowed from my friend were the X-Men. Well, the X-Men were dead and living in Australia. The issues specifically have the Brood in them, and for those of you who don't know the Brood are basically aliens knockoff, introduced into the Marvel Universe, which means they possess people, and they're really creepy. They possess people by laying their eggs inside of them. Yeah, it's gross. And they creeped me out because I was a bit of a wuss as a kid, frankly. And I followed X-Men up through college, basically stopped around Age of Apocalypse, because I was a broke college kid, and books were a better investment. But I bought a couple graphic novels in college. I bought, they got rope, The Dark Knight Returns, which is a classic. And I bought The Crow because I really liked the movie. At the time, I didn't think I liked the movie better than the book. Over time, I've come to appreciate the book more than the movie. I'm not too ashamed to say that I really enjoyed the movie when I was younger. I watched it again not too unrecently, and it's, for what it is, it stands up pretty well. I'm not particularly ashamed to have really enjoyed it back then. It falls into a genre that's incredibly problematic and overdone, in case you're wondering why I'm hedging my bets on that one. But when I got out of college and I had some spending money, graphic novels like The Crow, mostly trade collections like The Crow, and The Dark Knight Returns were becoming popular. So I bought JLA starting out, and then I looked over and saw Sandman next to it, and Sandman had come up in college from one of my professors, and I said, well, I guess I'll try that. And then I was addicted to comic books for the rest of my life. Alright, about 20 minutes. That's a good place to stop. We'll talk more comics later sometime, probably. Until then, I hope you enjoyed this episode, and we will talk to you later. Thanks.